When we talk about loving the work that we do, I know it's very important because when you start to work for a job where you feel like you're just exchanging time for money or you're just there to pay bills, at some point it becomes demoralizing and it gets to a place where it's almost soul sucking, right? So you start from, oh, happy Monday, 4 days closer to Friday. And then you do the Tuesday, 3 days closer to Friday, then the happy hump day, and then the Friday Eve, and then thank God it's Friday. When you're working like that and you just working, and you have no true joy or no true pleasure in the thing that you're doing for 8 hours per day, you start to think, what is my soul worth? What is my sanity worth if I'm doing this and I have no true love, right? So, like I said, I worked in human resources for 10 years, 10 and a half. And last Friday, I just resigned from my job. And what I will say is that is not a decision that I just did overnight. I didn't just get fed up and say, I don't want to do this anymore. This is something that I've been planning for years. And it's all about strategy and lots of prayer, lots of soul searching, but then trying to find out what you really think you should be doing. So whenever we think about what we're supposed to be doing with our life, sometimes we don't know the clear answer right away, but by process of elimination, we know what we don't want to be doing. For the first couple of years, I had a honeymoon. I loved working at my job. The first 3-4 years, it was amazing. And then one year I got married and I just loved being a wife and I loved working and everything was good. I always enjoyed globetrotting and just traveling and learning about new cultures. And then a year after my husband and I got married, we had our first child. It wasn't even a full year. It was probably like 10 or 11 months after I got married that I had my first child. So I went from this single woman who would be like, who wants to go to Mexico on the weekend to, trying to think about a whole new human. And at one point, I remember sitting down and saying, is motherhood a graveyard? Is motherhood where your dreams go to die? And I said, absolutely not. I will not let this be my story. 2 years later, I had another child. So now I'm a mom of two, and I have all these goals that I want to accomplish, right? I want to be an author. I want to have a business. I want to help moms. I have all these things that I want to do, but I had to figure out strategically, where am I going to get the time? How am I going to engage in self-care? How am I going to balance this all? People talked about having it all and all of that stuff. I'm like, is this even possible? What does that look like? So for me, I had to define what that looked like. I had to define what productivity looked like, what self-care looked like, what success looks like. And I had to make sure that whatever I decided was my goal, it wasn't based on someone else's dream. It wasn't based on what society told me I needed to do. It wasn't based on what Instagram showed me, right? So if I wanted to go on vacation, it wasn't because someone with 2 million followers said that they went to this place, but it was based on my own dreams and goals. Today, I am a productivity coach. And basically what I do is help women find out how to use strategy, time management, accountability, and mindset to achieve their goals. So whether it's a goal that's personal to you, like you want to lose 20 pounds, you want to gain 5 pounds, you want to write a book, you want to travel the world, anything that requires time and planning and strategy, that's something that I love working on. It could be a business goal where you want to launch a new business because you have a product or service that you believe the world wants that you want to offer, right? Or it could be switching careers. So while I'm not a career coach, it's the same things in terms of strategy and goal planning. So I would love to share everything that I know about goal setting and planning and the importance of mindset, because we can make plans all day, but if we're not switching our mindset and switching things from I'm not enough to I'm more than enough and changing the way we think, that's what's going to matter. So these are all things that I talk through: mindset, goal setting, self-care, productivity, time management, giving tips and strategies for you, the modern woman, someone who wants to get more out of life. I don't believe that you're just supposed to work a job that you hate, get a rocking chair and call that retirement. That's not what I think is, the ultimate goal. but more importantly, it's about you defining what that looks like for yourself, and then for me to show up and help you. I am an advocate for working in something that you're passionate about, but since we have stable bills, we want to make sure that we have stable income. So while in the beginning I mentioned that if you're working at a soul sucking job where you feel like you're just exchanging time for money and you're not really living in your purpose, please hear the disclaimer that I'm not asking you to go and quit your job tomorrow, right? Because a lot of times you'll hear influencers or experts say to you, you need to clip jump, you need to take the leap of faith. Yes, you do, but you need to do so with strategy. So by no means do I want anyone to leave this call thinking that I'm advocating for you to quit the job that you hate tomorrow. Because if you email me and ask me to pay your mortgage, I am not paying your mortgage. We are here about strategy, right? It's not just about emotions. It's not just about feelings. It's about using strategy to get the results we want and to design the life we want. So, Lauren, for mindset shift, the first thing I will say is to recognize the power of your words. So no one is reaching out to you yet, right? So your emails are going out, you're sending out the messages, and it's not that no one is responding. No one is responding to you yet. And that small, tiny shift in your mindset will help to give you hope versus you feeling demoralized that nothing is happening, nothing is moving. One thing I've learned in my life is a lot of times things don't happen in the time frame that I want it to. But when I look back, I can always say that I'm thankful that it didn't happen in that time frame because things happen when they're supposed to happen and everything is unfolded as it should, right? So I would definitely say go ahead and just continue to believe that everything that is for you will be given to you at the perfect time. And just trust the process, enjoy the process until you get to that. But we're going to come up with steps and strategies. One of the things that I mentioned to you on the call is to make a list of the companies that you want to work for. We're going to start getting into LinkedIn, getting into people's messaging. So there are things that we need to do strategically to get to your goal, but stay positive and let's just get the things done so that we can get to your goal. Just like you said, accountability, support, community, that's where a lot of us thrive, right? So I'm glad that you connected with a group of like-minded people who have similar goals so that you can get to the results that you want. And you said it, you took the words right out of my mouth. When you started talking about kind of dabbling or waiting around or, not doing it and procrastinating, the first thing I thought was we need to call out the fear. What is the thing that's holding you back? Because a lot of times when we procrastinate, it's based in fear. And fear is not always fear of failure. It may not be, oh, I'm afraid that I'm going to fail the certification. It could be the fear of success. And that's something that a lot of people don't really think about because when you start to change your life, sometimes you're like, am I going to recognize my life? What is this going to look like? What are the new responsibilities that are going to come as a result of me passing this exam? What happens next? What do I need to do? What do I need to change? Right? So there's fear of failure, there's fear of success, and there's so many different things. There's the imposter syndrome when we start to think, people are going to find out I'm a fraud or I'm not as good. Everyone thinks I'm so smart. What if I do this and people find out that I'm really not that? So again, it all goes back to mindset, but I'm glad that you were able to jump over that hurdle and just call it out for what it is. So for me, I'm never going to tell you don't be afraid. I'll just say do it afraid, right? So push through, go ahead and join that group, sign up for the class, do everything you need to do. If you need to do it afraid, that's okay as long as you keep on going. How to live in your purpose. And when it comes to living in your purpose, this is something that a lot of people struggle with because most of us don't know our purpose, right? It sounds like such a big word. And I think if we just kind of break it down into a smaller, more manageable concept, it's your assignment, right? And it doesn't have to be that you only have one assignment. You can have multiple things that you're on this earth to accomplish. I think once you start talking about purpose, it becomes this big, overwhelming concept that can be sometimes be a little bit hard to grasp. But if you just think of what is it that I'm supposed to be doing, not in my entire life, but in this moment, what is my purpose, right? So I think our purpose is something that when we're working in it, we feel passion. But the other thing to know about purpose is that it may not always be that warm and fuzzy feeling. When you think about your passion, It could be something that excites you. It can be something that ignites you, but it can also be something that frustrates you, that angers you, that makes you feel enraged. So if you think about children being hungry or children going to bed hungry and that enrages you, it may be that your passion is to help children get out of that situation. And then maybe walking in your purpose is to empower children to get out of that situation, right? So it's a much longer conversation, it's a much deeper conversation. If anyone has a specific question, I'll be happy to address it. But when you think about your purpose, um, just think of it from a standpoint of what am I supposed to be doing? So for me, in June, I know that I'm going to work at my company for a few more days because I'm on vacation for some of those days that I'm actually um, leaving. So I leave on the 18th, but I'm on vacation for about 7 of those days. So I know my purpose for June is to work at my company, take a lot of time to be present with my family, take time off to rest, and then spend time working on my business so that I can help the people who God has put in my life to impact. So if I make it, when I drill it down to that, it doesn't sound so overwhelming, right? My purpose is to show up as a mom. My purpose is to be present. My purpose is to rest, right? The overarching goal is that my purpose is to impact women. I'm blessed to be a blessing to others. So I'm supposed to impact other people. The reason I name my company Light of Fire is because it's like wildfire that we're spreading. So as I ignite Lisa's purpose to write her book, she gets to impact the generation of all the people who read it. As I help Latoya build her business, she gets to benefit all those people who learn from her business. As Tanisha shows up and says, okay, I'm going to get this project management system certification and I'm going to work on my business so that I can help other people with their virtual administrative solutions. She's igniting that fire with other people, right? So when Lauren gets her new job, she's going to be blessing other people and igniting and spreading fire and just it's just this torch that we're passing. So let's just start to think of it like that so it doesn't feel so big and overwhelming. I think what happens a lot of times is we get into this place where we're loyal to a company and even at our own detriment. But the way I like to look at companies is that it's a relationship. So I mentioned that with my company in the beginning, it was an absolute honeymoon. The first 4 years was a honeymoon. The fifth year I got married. The sixth year I had a kid. The seventh year I was nursing. The eighth year I had a kid. And by that time I'm like, okay, I'm 2 years away from vesting in my pension. Strategically, it doesn't make sense to walk away. So I stayed an additional 2 years. I got vested in my pension and I'm leaving, this month. But I understand when you say that you just feel like it's in your way. Sometimes I'm like, this job is such an inconvenience in my life. It's such a major, you know, um, disadvantage. But the way I started looking at my company before I decided to quit is that it was my investor. So I use this company, and when I say use, I don't mean in a manipulative way. I allowed this company to be my investor. So I started building my business as I worked for this company that was giving me stable income. I was able to go on vacations when I wanted to because this company gave me 5 weeks of vacation and personal days and floating holidays and all of that. And the other thing too, in terms of relationship, if you're not in a toxic relationship or an abusive relationship or a dead end relationship, maybe you just use that as your platform for stability as you're working on your goals to what you want to do. But if it is toxic and if it is abusive and it's stifling you, then and that's when you really start to move faster to think, how do I get out of here? What is it that I need to do? So I invite you all to look at your careers as a relationship. And if it's not that bad, but you just know the season is up, then I invite you to be strategic about getting out of there. But the important thing to know is a lot of times we try to make things fit that no longer fit. So we have to do what serves us, we have to do what works in our favor, but we have to be strategic and smart about it.